It's now time for Me and My Roku with your host, Peter Clay.
Who's your guy?
Peter.
So we have a voicemail now from Peter.
Not everybody sounds like Peter Clay.
Peter was like my brother.
This is my brother, Peter.
Pete, you are not.
Peter Clay is here today. Holy crap, it's Peter.
Oh, I love Peter.
Peter was a sweet guy.
Good luck tonight, Peter.
To your host, Peter Clay.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another fascinating, interesting, and dare I say exciting edition of Me and My Roku. I'm your host, Peter Clay. Welcome aboard. Tremendous to be with you today to explore all the different things that I do in the streaming universe. And there I share with you. I don't tell you what to do. I'm not here to preach or teach or anything along those lines. It's just easier for me to just share with you what I do in the cord-cutting streaming universe and then share it on this wonderful podcast network, stream, feed, whatever it is, that you can subscribe to and choose what you wish. If you just like to listen to the sound of my voice, or if you actually get some actual information out of this, hey, bonus! Well, we got a whole bunch of things going on, some kind of things to keep on track of, and some name changes and some other things going on, and so we got some things to get to today, so let's get started.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Okay, so a couple days ago, I was just surfing through the channels and all that stuff, and what was supposed to be just a regular investor day for ViacomCBS turned out to be a whole big presentation and all that stuff where someone from ViacomCBS comes out and announces, from this moment forward, we declare we are now Paramount. Yes, ViacomCBS is no more. The whole company is called Paramount. Okay, so now they have a brand, and they're sticking to it. They're sticking to their guns. They're getting into this. Now, part of it is, one, to have that brand and specify that. That's fine, because, you know, there's Paramount Plus streaming, there's the Paramount movies, and all that stuff. Let's keep everything under one brand. So there was maybe some confusion that ViacomCBS was two companies, when, no, we're one big happy family now. Two, what does Viacom or CBS mean if they're going global? You know, what does it mean to Japan or Europe or anything along these lines? The markets that they're going to go into next. All that stuff. Two, when they incorporate everything. So now it looks like starting in the summer, they're going to incorporate Showtime into Paramount Plus then too. So instead of having all these different apps, one home Paramount Plus. No big deal, just an extra $5 if you want Showtime. So it's kind of like a bundle. Gee, who else does that? So now everyone in this game of the big players now, the big three that used to be your television networks, NBC, part of Comcast, NBC, Universal. There's Peacock. That's their brand. Disney, owners of ABC, has Hulu, and other things along that. So, and now, CBS Viacom, yes, the Tiffany Network, as they used to call it. Now Paramount Plus. Will they change the network from CBS to Paramount? Oh, there too. Oh, I guess there already is a Paramount network. It's a cable channel, but what does that mean? So a whole bunch of different announcements. The subscribers are growing for Paramount Plus. Pluto was not getting it out on the ballpark and gaining revenue then for just being a free service. They also announced their top 10 things that are driving revenue, starting with UEFA Championship Soccer, football. Also, 5 of them are movies, like Clifford the Big Red Dog, Paw Patrol, A Quiet Place Part 2, a couple series, iCarly, and of course anything Yellowstone related. But the number one is the NFL, of course. Okay. Even just streaming regionally, it's still a big deal. So Paramount, way to go. Why not? So, again, let's separate, the streaming universe from the investing universe, because it met with a big as far as investors went, and I think went down like 27% that first day. But growth is growth. I mean, right now the stock market is just a fickle place to be right now. Don't worry about it. So many companies have reported earnings that were good, and everything just sold off. So it's okay. Paramount's going to be fine. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to zero. They're not going bankrupt. So big deal. They'll be fine. So Paramount, no longer ViacomCBS. We love that good stuff here on Me and My Roku. Okay, so maybe you remember last week. It was kind of cloudy, kind of warm. Yeah, remember that? Like way back last week, we were talking about Fubo and how they were dropping their monthly plans and going with quarterly plans. And I was kind of like, okay. Interesting. I guess go with God type of thing. Like it wasn't enticing me one way or the other. It wasn't making me, oh God, I gotta drop Hulu Live now and go to Fubo with their quarterly plans. But then I started to think about it and goes, well, okay, maybe if I'm gonna have it for 3 to 6 months anyway, might as well just pay for it all in advance and all that stuff. But still, to me, it was but I wasn't judging. I was just saying it wasn't for me, and that's why it's Me and My Roku. So. Anywho, come a week later now, Fubo's not doing that. They've already dropped it, and if you've got the quarterly plan, your billing has changed as of this recording by the time you hear this. So, part of me is like, I wish some of these kind of out-of-the-box groups here, because Fubo is a big deal, but they only have about 1 million subscribers. That puts them a distant third behind YouTube TV and Hulu. Maybe even DirecTV for that matter. And so maybe you do have to think outside the box a little bit. But on the other hand, how are you going to grow type of thing? So my initial thought was, okay, this was a way to get people not to just sign up just for the Super Bowl and then drop you, because they are sports-centric in their streaming. But then they still had a 7-day trial, so that didn't make sense to me either. So, yeah, anywho. So whatever results they were looking for, they must have been really bad. Because, like I say, sometimes when you want to take the leap, you want to give it more than just a week. So there must have been some really strong feedback and all those lines there. So Fubo, we appreciate you trying, but no, back to monthly plans. Let's see if I got some other news for you here, Roku. Yeah, lots of what we call in the investing world the earnings season. There you go. We're almost there. I get choked up when I talk about investing and all that stuff. So we are almost through the first quarter of the year already. We're halfway through the first quarter. So we are still reporting from last quarter, fourth quarter of last year. So Roku says they have added 3.7 million accounts, but their margins are way off because they can't get enough product to sell because of the supply chain, blah, 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 blah. So right now, what's happening, we talked about this on the last show as well. If you make your numbers and you're showing good guidance, you're going to be doing okay. So Disney did okay, and a couple others have done. But boy, if you miss, Netflix, Roku, and now Paramount as well then too. So, anywho, that's just one of those things. So, in regards, Roku is just going on and all that stuff. I don't care about the stock price, when it comes to Roku. They're a product, not a business as far as I'm concerned. But, that's just the way the cookie crumbles on these things. So, Roku, doing fine, adding accounts. Hopefully this supply chain will abate before too long here. And Fubo, not doing what they were doing there with their quarterly plans, sticking back to monthly. And maybe that's just the way it should be. Just like how happy things are here at Me and My Roku. Okay, this is becoming kind of a fun segment to do on the show. Just go back 1 year ago. Basically what's happening is I'm cleaning my room and my office and all that stuff, and I'm finding my notes from last year's shows. I've done a little different format. I used to write them down in a notebook. Now I just use Google Docs. But it's fine. But it's fun to look through the notes and find just 1 year ago, pretty much of this broadcast, just to see what was going on and how much it just changes just in a year, regardless of, say, like a week or so in the streaming universe. So basically 1 year ago from this recording, these notes are here. AT&T now is now AT&T TV. AT&T TV is across all platforms, not shut down, but even though I think they are now because I think they sold off to DirecTV Stream or something like that. Here we go. A name change. CBS All Access will become Paramount Plus March 4th. That was just 1 year ago, and now the whole company has changed. Wow. Netflix surpasses 200 million subscribers worldwide. No external financing for the first time, and they're pivoting to blockbuster movies. Okay. That was 1 year ago. YouTube TV adds WGN America and QVC? Question mark? And I think I wrote that down because QVC and HSN have their own apps. And actually now, QVC and HSN are all in one app, all the home shopping networks, with multiple channels and all that stuff. But YouTube TV, good job. Tubi streamed 2.5 billion hours in 2020. Could have been pandemic rated. Could be. The original Muppet Show premiered on Disney Plus, all 5 seasons, although they added little notes in the corner like there was smoking or violence or things like that. It was kind of funny. They're all there. All AVOD, advertising video on demand, now FAST apps, added channels. And that still is going on. Going through the headlines and all this, I just cross it off. To me, it's not news that the Roku channel added 25 channels or Pluto added this channel. That's what they do. I guess until something monumental like Pluto adds HBO or something, I guess maybe then it'll become news, I guess. And the news that would never die, Lowcast added 1 million users in 2020, up to 2.3 million, and added Madison, Wisconsin. More cities on the way in 2021 just before they died. And it was a year ago at this time, I paused YouTube TV for 2 months. I eventually canceled it and went back to Hulu at half off. Not much different than just right now, because right now, I was going to do it in the comings and goings, but since it's the only coming or going, is I just today, before I started recording here, went back. I'm going back. I'm canceling Hulu Plus Live. And I'm just going to regular Hulu, no ads, with the Disney bundle. So I'll just get Hulu, no ads, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus. And it'll be around the same price as Netflix, and I think I'm getting just as good value. I still have Netflix until end of June, because it was part of a free thing that I got for buying a device. But yeah, there you have it. 1 year ago, how much has changed, and how much is the same? It's kind of weird. That's kind of life in general, folks. But that's what we do here on Me and My Roku. Okay, sometimes in life you're faced with a dilemma, a choice, and sometimes it becomes ingrained in you, like Coke versus Pepsi or Netflix versus Hulu or anything along those lines, and that just becomes your standard type of thing. But sometimes you're given a choice and you have to decide, sometimes very quickly, sometimes you don't have a choice, it's just there for you, you decide yes or no type of thing. And so now you're given a choice here of a choice between a series that first came out in the UK and now a show that's now in the US. Now, let me give you some friendly advice here. Now, when it comes to advice, I don't give that out very often. This is a me show, But I just tell you what I do. I don't tell you what to do. But there's some standards when it comes to advice, like never bench press while hang gliding, don't pass on cruise control, and when you're in the hospital, when offered, always take the stool softener, okay? So those are the 3 go-tos right there. Also, in case you're in separate bedrooms, saves your marriage all the time too. But in this case, if you're given a choice between a show from the UK and the same show from the US, watch the UK show first. If you can, if you want to. It's up to you. But anyway, so it doesn't come up very often. I guess the number 1 would be The Office, but there's certain other ones. But now, presently, there's a show called Ghosts. Okay? Now, you can watch the British version on HBO Max, and you can watch the US version on Paramount Plus. Now, why do you say? That doesn't really matter, because they're both kind of different in one regard, but they're both kind of the same in another. The British shows always are much, much shorter. As a matter of fact, to watch the whole season of the US version, you get to see the whole series of the UK. So I just watched the UK version first, and then just randomly went to the American version, and it's okay. Now, they're both just cute. They're nothing mind-blowing or anything. And again, this is just television. It doesn't really matter. We're not solving the world's problems or curing COVID or anything like that. But just when you're faced with a certain, you have your things. If you're for Coke versus Pepsi, well, okay, you prefer one or the other. But if that's all they offer, you just take one or the other. If you happen to have both HBO Max and Paramount Plus, and you're given a choice, you might just want to choose one first and then the other. Or you can just kind of go back and forth between the two. So, doesn't happen very often, but sometimes in the streaming universe, you're going to come across something that's going to make you go, oh, what do I do here? Oh, do I cancel this? Or do I drop this? Or, oh my gosh. Sometimes the choice is just made for you. Oh, the dilemmas we face here on Me and My Roku. Okay, kids, gather around. Not too close. A lot of mask mandates being dropped and all that stuff, but let's keep a good distance here. But let's get a little closer, have a little chit-chat, and discuss a few things here. First of all, the bandwidth of this podcast and all my podcasts since 2005 is brought to you by the Internet Archive. Well, brought to you by archive.org, keepers of the Internet Archive, and you can find that at archive.org. Lots of things going on over there. They have the Quantum Leap podcast. Talks about every single episode of the cult hit time traveling program. But say you need more. Okay, there's plenty more at the Internet Archive to check that out, including My Morton Grove. Yes, a collection of oral history interviews conducted by the Morton Grove Public Library in Morton Grove, Illinois. Oh, you say you need more? There's a vast collection of books, arts and crafts audio, from Grateful Dead concerts to old-time radio shows, and it's all there for you to explore. 78 RPM records that have been archived. Listen to the collection they have for you. Plenty to get to. Check that out today at archive.org. We thank them and we love them. By we, I mean me. I do crazy things in the background that pay me gift cards. So then that way, all the streaming stuff that I talk about on this podcast doesn't come out of my pocket. And I can share with you all the different things and vast things to explore out there and see if that's right for you. One of the ones that I use is swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. Use that link that I just told you right there, just as is, or click on the link that's where you get this podcast. And that's the one I've used the longest. It's been the most stable. It's been the most reliable. So that way you know it's secure and, not a scam or anything along those lines. I've been using it for over 10 years. Check that out and get started. And whatever you want to do. You want to do surveys? Do surveys. You want to have videos running in the background? Have videos running in the background. Want just cash back for things that you shop for anyway, like Chewy or Amazon or different things? Check it out. swagbucks.radioaffliction.com, and all the great things that are going on, including the Wayback Machine and all the things that are now available at archive.org. Check it out today, archive.org.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
The big money is not in the buying or the selling, but in the waiting. Okay, news, notes, and stuff. One thing that actually didn't make my little list here, and I really hesitate to talk about it because I'm not sure what really happened or that, but a report came out in the Wall Street Journal that NBC Universal was pulling out of Hulu. They had until a certain day to do it. And that just the day after programs, like you're going to watch The Voice and you want to watch it the next day on Hulu, that they were pulling out of that deal and all those programs were going to go to Peacock. There was nothing official said on that. And so if it's not, then they have to stay on until 2024. But just beware that to know that come the fall, in September, when the new premieres come out, if you're hanging on those NBC shows, you might have to go to Peacock and not Hulu. But we'll see. It's something we're all expecting. It's all something we're all prepared for, I hope. At least we are in this household. We have both. And I'm kind of hanging on to Peacock and as far as the different ways I do billing on it and all that stuff. I'd like to have everything through my Apple card and all that stuff because I have all these credits on there and all that stuff. But I just use PayPal because it's just a deal that I got through Google and it's still going through. And so it's a side issue. You didn't need to know that. But just be aware, know that that's out there. There was a report, but nothing really seemed to have come out of it. So we'll find out in the fall. Actual news and notes here. Sling TV is now accepting cryptocurrency payments through BitPay. So if you've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and some stable coins, you can use that to pay your Sling TV. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, is to prevent landlords from forcing ISPs on tenants. So you move into a building and say, if you do this, well, you can only get DSL or you can always get this. And so, well, I want to get the cable or I want to get this. So your rent is no longer tied to your ISP. Now, I'm not sure if that's officially gone through, but that's just a way that they're trying to get in. Another report. New streaming signups driven by major events and price promotions. Oh, I didn't know that. Also, a survey says that 44% of cable subscribers would cancel their service if they could stream live events. And, okay. 44% of cable subscribers would say that. So, but yeah. So, and you know, it's kind of pointless because if you're just, at this point, really, if you have cable and you're relying on cable for those things, at least it's not cost prohibitive because you're just moving from that to Hulu plus Live plus YouTube TV and all, and those things are $60, $70. Like I said, I'm agnostic on those things. You do what you need to do on that. For us, we cut the cord, and the nice thing about it is now, like I said, just dropped Hulu plus Live. I have until the end of the month, and then I can get it back, or I can get YouTube TV. I can change it up. I can get Sling TV and use cryptocurrency. The choices are just abundant. That's the whole point of the whole deal. And then finally, another story that came out of the Roku things. It's just a report that Roku is exploring a move into TV manufacturing. And I will say to this report is, I doubt it. It's possible, but basically when it comes down to TV manufacturing, there's only like 2 or 3 companies that actually do it, and then they just put on your logo and they ship it out to you and all that stuff. There's really no one who's actually making TVs these days. But if Roku wants to get into that, maybe something different will come out of it. Because we've heard Apple's thought about doing it for years and all that stuff. So like I say, I doubt it, but you never know. Well, you never know when I'm going to come back or anything along those lines. It's tricky. Sometimes it's once a week. Sometimes it's, every couple of days. You never know. So the best thing to do is just stay subscribed and all that stuff. I'll give you a list in just a second here. But first of all, I want to thank once again archive.org for their support and providing the bandwidth of this podcast and all my podcasts since 2005. Love that. Swagbucks.radioaffliction.com if you want to learn more about how I get gift cards to pay for the stuff that I use and all that stuff. It's always fun. You can follow me on Twitter at Radio Affliction and on Instagram at Pierre Argyle. That will give you kind of some updates and you get to see my pretty face every now and then. But like I said, the best way you can support this podcast is to subscribe. And you may subscribe to this podcast, the Me and My Roku podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Ghana, JioSaavn, Himalaya, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartMedia, Podbean, Pandora, and Odyssey. And if you need one-on-one questions, comments, or anything like that, question for the show, question you want to know about your Roku or another device, anything along those lines, email me at meandmyrokupodcast@gmail.com. Well, I'm itchy, twitchy. I better get back to it and all that stuff. So I hope you are enjoying you and your Roku as much as I'm enjoying me and my Roku. And I'll be back with you real soon.
That's it. It's over. It's all over.
Would you play your cat?
I can't tell you how I feel. Because my heart, it's like a wheel.